man. Not another day like last Tuesday.
Cause it's Taco Tuesday.
Tuesday.
The big news.
Hello and welcome to Tuesday Newsday number 14, where our learning goal is to determine two or more central ideas of a text and analyze their development over the course of that text, including how they interact and build on one another. At the end of today's lesson, you will be asked to rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 4 with regard to your ability to accomplish that learning goal. If you rate yourself a 4, that means you can identify the central idea or ideas, you can point to the evidence the author uses to prove his or her point, and you can identify how those ideas build on one another. If you're at a 3, that means you can identify the central idea or ideas and the evidence that the author uses to prove his or her point. Notice how with a 3, you're missing sort of how those ideas build on one another. But a 3 is where we'd like to get everyone to be by the end of the year. That's kind of you meeting standard. And if you're at a 2, that means you can identify the central ideas, but you're not really pointing to the evidence that the author uses to prove his or her point. And by now, I doubt this is breaking news to you, but school has never been about finding the right answers or identifying that central idea in this case. That's good. You know, I'm glad that you can do that, but we're looking a lot at the process and how you find that central idea. The process is where the learning happens. Because you will come across times where you don't have the answer, and learning sort of those thinking moves and proving that you can show those is how you tell me that you can identify the central idea for something that you don't necessarily know right off the bat. And a 1 means you are unsure of how to find the central idea. If you're at a 2 or a 1, please let me know. That is a good thing because this scale is as much an assessment of me as it is of you. It tells me what I can do differently to get you to a 3 by the end of the year. Today's articles are with regard to the vaccine that is coming and the rollout of said vaccine. The first one is Moderna's COVID-19 vaccine, what you need to know in 500 words. And the second article is COVID vaccine, what you need to know about vaccine safety. So they're both need to know articles about this vaccine, but their main ideas are quite different. So kind of working today on how to identify those differences based on the evidence in the text is going to be the most important thing that you take from this. Currently, at the Write in Edpuzzle, there is an audio book of me reading both of the articles, and there's also links to each article. So right now, if you would decide to read them on your own or read them along with me, please do that now. And here's the vocabulary section of our video. There are a few words that will pop up and it will identify which article the word comes from. Please answer those now. Here we are back at the worksheet. To start identifying the topic, as I kind of said just a couple seconds ago, these are both need to know articles, like what you need to know about the vaccine, but they are quite different in how they approached the need to know. So when considering identifying the topic, use the headline, but understand that they might be different. And if you have 2 different identifying the topic answers, that's fine with me. Moving on to summarizing the story. Let's take a look at the first article. Please summarize the first article in 12 words now. And please summarize the first article in 32 words now. Taking a look at the second article now. Please summarize the second article in 12 words now. And please summarize the second article in 32 words now. Taking a look at the first and last sentence. We look at the first and last sentence because the first sentence tends to introduce the main idea to us and give us a little bit more insight than did the title. And the last sentence is a nice recap of what the main idea is. So oftentimes both the first and the last sentence sort of bookend that main idea really, really well. So, taking a look at the first article, please identify the first sentence of the first article now. Please identify the last sentence of the first article now. And on to the second article. Please identify the first sentence of the second article now. And the last sentence of the second article now. And moving on to the main idea of the articles. This should be two separate answers. That's okay. What is the main idea of the first article? Please answer now. And what is the main idea of the second article? Please answer now. And looking at responding to the quote, we need to look at a quote in the story that supports the main idea. So from Article 1, you wrote a main idea. What is a quote from the story or a section of text that you think supports that main idea? Please write that quote now. And then answer this question about that quote. Why is this quote included in the story? Considering Article 2, you wrote a main idea for Article 2, which was the BBC article. What is a quote that you think supports the main idea of the second article, the one that you wrote for the second article? And why is that quote included in the story? How does that quote support the main idea? And the last question I'll have to answer here is, at least before we talk about answers, is find another article related to the topic of vaccine safety, or not necessarily safety, but find an article related to need to know, vaccine need to know. Provide the link, and then tell how the main ideas differ from the two provided. Taking a look back at the main idea of the article. For article number 1, the main idea is regarding how the vaccine will be rolled out and sort of what it takes to do so effectively. It talked about how the vaccine gets stored and things like that. So it was definitely different from the second article, which talked a lot about what you need to know about the side effects and how the testing was completed, the research behind that between Pfizer and Moderna and even AstraZeneca, and the different numbers of test subjects there were, and how they planned to test for COVID safety or the COVID vaccines safety and effectiveness. So they were definitely different topics as far as what the main ideas were. They were both need to knows, and we need to know all of this stuff. It's just that they kind of took different approaches. If your main ideas were on the same track as this, that's awesome. If they were not, what could you have written differently so that they more aligned with those topics? And finally, here we are back at our scale. I'll zoom out so you can see the whole learning goal here. We want to determine two or more central ideas of a text and analyze their development over the course of that text, including how they interact and build on one another. So how did the author sort of build up to identifying what the main idea is? Would you rate your ability to identify that central idea or that main idea as a 4, a 3, a 2, or a 1? Once you've completed this question, you have earned your unit for today. Thank you, and ciao for now.